with bated breath. What's he going to say? Is he going to let us in? Am I going to get a chance to talk to Jesus? And their ears are perked. Their hearts are beating a million miles a minute. And Jesus takes this moment, and perhaps he looks around and he sees all of the buzz and all of the things that are happening around him. You see, they're expecting him to be this earthly king, this earthly ruler. They're expecting him to overthrow the Romans. They're expecting him to do all these awesome things that are not in the cards for him. But he recognizes this spirit of expectation, this anticipation that seems to be all over the crowd. And it reminded me of a quote. It's one of my favorite Pastor Garyisms, actually. And it's that expectation or anticipation is the breeding ground of miracles. And I believe in this particular moment that this phrase fits exactly what Jesus is in the midst of his situation. There's about to be miraculous crucifixion. There's about to be miraculous resurrection. There's about to be this awesome thing that's going to break forth. And it's this expectation is buzzing all around it. All these people are waiting. They need a Messiah. They need a deliverer. They need a redeemer. They need a king. And they're expecting Jesus to be that king. And so there's this level of rise that begins to happen within them. And Jesus recognizes that he's going to be that king, that Messiah, the one that they're so anxiously and desperately waiting for. But he also recognizes that they don't see him exactly as he needs to be seen. And so he takes the moment. He begins to tell them again about who he truly is. Because I believe that Jesus begins to say, or begins to realize, or knows already, that unless you see somebody for who they truly are, there's no way that you can rightfully expect the proper things from them. Right? I mean, if you don't know who somebody is, then if I expect my 8-year-old son to run down to the grocery store in my car and drive my car down to the store and pick up a loaf of bread and bring it back, is he willing? Yes. But he's not 16. He doesn't have a license. He doesn't know how to drive a car. He doesn't have any money. He can't buy any bread. He can't do those things. I can't expect him to do something that he's incapable of doing. I have to truly know and understand who somebody is before I can expect the right things from them. And so all of these people, they aren't expecting the right thing from Jesus, and he wants to take the moment to set the record straight for them. And so he begins to do so. And I started thinking about this and kind of what Jesus might have been thinking in this particular moment, and I was reminded of about 13 and a half years ago. I was standing outside of the church that I was working at the time. It was September 8th, and I was standing there, and I'm standing with the senior pastor and my best man for my wedding. And I remember there were a million things running through my mind. Having never been married before, I didn't quite know exactly what to expect when I walked through the next door. I certainly knew what the sanctuary would look like. I certainly knew some of the faces that were going to be there. But I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what to anticipate other than I was going to be married to this woman for the rest of my life, and that was exciting and wonderful, and I was anxious to do that, and I wanted it to happen right now. And then, am I going to be capable to be a proper spouse, a proper husband, a proper father to eventual children? Can I be a provider? Can I do the things that I'm supposed to do? Can I lead spiritually? Can I lead emotionally? Can I be the man that I'm supposed to be? And as I'm sitting there and wondering all of these things in this particular moment, all of a sudden the door begins to open. And all of a sudden, things begin to happen in slow motion. As we step through the door, all of a sudden, all of these people are faces that I know and people that I love. And the first person that I notice is my grandmother, who at this point had been confined to a wheelchair. She was wearing a blue dress, and she was sitting there, and she had a big smile on her face. And then there was my uncle who had brought her in with the wheelchair, was sitting behind her, and my parents were there. And then I looked over, and my in-laws were there, and they were smiling and happy and just beaming. And I remember kind of walking in, and I don't remember getting from the door to the stage, but somehow I floated there. And then my anticipation began to grow a little bit more as I looked out into the crowd, and I began to see faces that I had known and had gotten to know over the last couple of years, and people that were close to our family and to my wife's family and to all these things. And then all of a sudden, all the groomsmen came walking down with all the bridesmaids, and all the groomsmen had little messages inside of their suit jackets for me. And so I remember laughing at that, but that only built my anticipation more. And then the moment arrived where all of a sudden the senior pastor said, "Would everybody please rise?" And everybody stood. And every eye in the place wasn't looking at me and my goofy groomsmen anymore. They were all shot back to the back door. And there, as the door opened, stood my wife, my soon-to-be wife, with her father. And in that moment, I saw her differently than I had ever seen her before. Not just because she was wearing the white wedding dress, and not just because she had, the extra flowers and the veil and the thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that when I saw her in that moment, I saw her as a daughter. I saw her as a sister. I saw her as a companion, as a friend, as a helpmate. I saw her as a sounding board. I saw her as a hand to hold as I walked down this journey together. I saw her as the one who was going to give me the wisdom to make the right decisions at the right times. I saw her as the one who was willingly committing and giving her life over to me. In that moment, I saw Stacy for who she truly was in a way that I had never seen her before. I saw her, and my heart melted. And now here we are 13 and a half years later, and I'm sure she's still scratching her head over why those doors opened that particular day. But I'm so happy that she decided to walk down that aisle. And I think that Jesus, in many situations, has himself in a similar situation. He has this bride there, he has this groom, he has this partner that he wants to give his life toward. But they are not expecting the right things from him. And so he begins to tell them about who he truly is and what he's truly about.